boy, it's your boy Jack Slack, and we're back in the film room, and we're talking about Willie Pep, a fighter you've probably heard a lot about, maybe not seen an awful lot of. What he's most famous for is this. I call it the Pep step, but lateral movement generally was a mark of Pep. He would retreat out of his stance, he'd leave his stance, step back to feet level, begin circling to his left, and as the opponent either pivoted round to face him, which is the dumb way to deal with someone circling, or stepped across to cut him off, which is the correct way to deal with someone circling, both of those things led them right onto his straight punch. And what he'd do is he'd stack his feet so that he could point back towards the opponent in a southpaw stance and throw the left hand. So he was a curious fighter in that he was orthodox, but his best punch was a southpaw left straight. That can only happen if you use a ton of footwork. And this one move works so well, even today. Sean O'Malley's used it, Mattis Nicolau knocked a guy out with it. Ryan Caffaro tweeted me just the other day saying that he won a fight in CFFC with it. Go check that out. But it's basically leading the opponent on. On the Patreon yesterday, I dropped Advanced Striking 2.0 Willie Pep, where I talked briefly about the Pep step and about how he sort of revolutionized lateral movement by not doing classical sidesteps, doing athletic sidesteps like you'd see in football, rugby, any other sport where you have to move sideways very quickly. Feet level, going side to side, and it meant that Willie Pep could direction change and duck under things as he was moving. Basically, all those clips you've seen of Pep doing awesome defensive work along the ropes, they happen because he does this beautiful sidestepping with his feet level, but when he wants to hit the opponent, he has to turn his feet back to face them, so he does all kinds of little tricks in his footwork. But again, that's in the article. All the good shit's on the Patreon, you know this. What I want to talk about today in this film room is some of the stuff we don't mention about Pep because it sort of flies under the radar, it's not his main thing. One of the things is that, despite being like a not finisher, he had a pretty good right uppercut. Fella could crack decently with this. And he did it when he wanted to back people up. Sandy Sadler was one of the greatest ring cutters of his day, and probably ever, and Pep used it to back him up. One of the things I really love about Pep's uppercut is how he uses his head movement afterwards. I used to lose my mind at Alexander Gustafsson leading with rear uppercuts. And sometimes Pep throws them as the counter, but mainly Pep throws them as a counter to the guy stepping forward, not to an actual punch. But if we watch here, throws the uppercut as the guy steps in. Now watch where his head goes. He's gone down to the left, and he's going to weave under. Boom, and he's out the back door. There you go. Now, in a lot of cases, when you weave, guys will tell you to just, or coaches rather, not just guys, but they'll tell you to go straight down and let the guy punch over your head, and you just come up the other side. If you weave by putting your head down one way and then weaving under, it's a little bit slower, but the wonderful thing about it is that as Pep throws this uppercut, his head comes down to his left. If they swing with the left hook, he goes under, no problems. If they step in too close, he just collides, wraps his arm around the back, and gets the clinch. And the clinch is an area where Pep really excelled. So yeah, the right uppercut, real crafty trick of Pep, and he used it when he had to get some respect. So here's Sandy Sadler, who just wanted to make a tear up with Pep, and Pep's trying to keep him off with the right uppercut. This is another way that Pep uses the right uppercut that I really like. If you start throwing those big uppercuts, while it is like, don't do that, that's one of the cardinal sins of boxing. If you try and get the guy walking onto that uppercut a few times and he knows it's coming, throw the big loopy uppercut, stop it short and throw a jab. Always like throwing a power punch to set up a jab, partly because it works very well and partly because it squares your shoulders. You see how his right shoulder has come forward here, so his shoulders are coiled and he can throw the jab with some power. Same thing again here. Lovely. So let's talk about another way that Pep got into southpaw to throw that left straight, the dart. If you've seen Eddie Alvarez or Nonito Donaire, famous for this. Throw the right hand or just fake it. Come down the side here. And the way that this works is if you go far enough out this way, this leg is going to be closest to him anyway. Even if facing the camera you're in an orthodox stance, you're in a southpaw stance facing him. So the moment that you rebound in off this foot, you're a southpaw. Boom. And Pep did some lovely stuff with this. He came in off the uppercut to do it, like this, and came back to the body. Lovely. Threw it off combinations. 1, 2, darts off, comes back southpaw. You see, it's a more aggressive method. It's a more forward-moving method of getting into that southpaw position than the Pep step, which is sort of a passive, please don't hit me, sir, and then come back at them. Always looking for Sadler's eyes. There's very dirty fights between these two. There's a dart just running past. Pep was big on this. What's called healing, pushing the guy away with the heel of your palm. It is illegal, but Sandy Sadler did a lot of illegal stuff in that fight too. There's 4 fights between them. We have one on film, and it's absolutely filthy. Oh, gorgeous left straight. Right, this is another little piece of footwork that's worth studying, because this is something Dominic Cruz does. I've heard it called a bump or a bump step. The trick is, there's a direction change here, which is a huge part of Pep's success. He can go this way, stop himself, and come back that way. This is the main reason Willie Pep's a genius, because not enough people were doing this. Willie Pep did it all the time, and it's the difference between being a good ring general and a bad ring general. But he changes direction here, bumps his feet together, and he's going to advance with this foot while leaning his head this way, which is weird to look at if you're facing him, because normally when his head goes that way, he's going into a side step, and it also puts him in a southpaw stance and loads up his left hand. Boom. Hits his arm, but you saw the move that he was trying to do. And he does a nice little step off there to southpaw again. And here's a couple of examples back to back. Right foot goes out, head goes to the left. Right foot goes out, head goes to the left. And here's a subtler little one, just to set up a little jab. Cool though. And this clip actually brings us on to our next talking point, and probably the last thing I'll talk about today. Willie Pep wrestling strats. I've said it before, it's one of the grey areas of boxing, and it certainly was more back in the day. Guys who can actually use the clinch and wrestle a bit basically have their way with guys who don't understand it, and that's especially true in modern boxing. But look at this. Double wrist control. Because the thumb is separate back in these days, Willie Pep is holding both of this dude's wrists, and then uppercutting him in between. Gets the wrists, uppercut. And this is a really good fight, actually. This is one where Willie actually hits the dude alone. This is a beautiful arm drag. As you can see, classic Marcelo Garcia style. Get that hand deep in the armpit, pass the wrist across yourself, pull and step round this way. And look at that. The best ring cutter in the world at the time, now in the corner, and you're back in the middle of the ring. Crazy, eh? Here are just some examples of Willie framing off people using sort of a Tai Long guard. He's kind of like Tommy Loughran, who I also wrote Advanced Striking about, in that he'll tie people up like that. That is an elbow pass, and he does it all the time. If he can feed your elbow across him, he's going to come out behind you. And that means he gets to choose if the action continues or not. Because you can't hold on to him if he's behind you. He's going to be able to free his hands and hit you. If the ref hasn't said break, game on. Another one. Wrist control there. Can't do that in modern gloves. That I love. Forearm across the bicep so that he can't punch. Gorgeous. And straight into a proper clinch. And then jab and grab. Another great way to score points and not get hit back. And this stuff matters defensively, but it also matters offensively, because if Pep cracks you, on the rare occasion he cracks someone, and you try and tie up, and you don't know how to hold someone without them just passing their elbow across you, you're in trouble. So that's the boy Willie Pep, one of the greats, revolutionised lateral movement in boxing for reasons that I talk about in the article on the Patreon. Sign up, read it, listen to it, love it. Cheers.